Control is a starting point in grappling, and the delariva guard is one of the many great tools for creating it. At its core, the delariva guard is a control system. By hooking your leg around your opponent's lead leg, you disrupt their base, their posture, and their ability to move freely. Without balance, they cannot attack. Without freedom, they cannot pass. The delariva guard is not a single position. It is a gateway to multitudes of attacks, sweeps, backtakes, submissions, and transitions to advanced guards, which are all possible from this one position. The delariva guard allows you to dictate the pace of the exchange while limiting your opponent's options.
I'll grab his fence, all right? So I gotta push his leg, okay? Push the inner side of his leg, right here.
Let's talk about limb placement. The delariva guard is a symphony of control, where each of the limb has a huge part to play. If you misplace one, the harmony is lost. If you align them all, then you can easily orchestrate dominance in your game. The hook is the heart of the delariva guard. It keeps your opponent tethered to you and unable to establish their own rhythm. Your free leg is your compass. It determines the angle you can create and the distance you can control. Where the hook ties them to you, the grip on the ankle of your near side arm ensures they cannot escape. The secondary arm is your guide. It ensures that your opponent's upper body is as compromised as their lower body. One of the most neglected versions and control of the delariva is your hips. Your hips are the engine of the delariva guard. They power every movement and transition. Jason Scully from the Grappler's Guide does a great job in condensing the information for limb placement. Let's watch it now.
Have an angle on their opponent and they're just straight on with them. You want to make sure you get an angle on your opponent sitting basically on their foot, so then that way you have a proper angle and knee alignment. So when you have the position, don't have your body straight in front because you're going to put pressure on your knee and your ankle. You want to angle off, so then that way you can have better body alignment, better knee alignment, and work to attack your opponent better. Also, when you're straight on with your opponent, you have less power because you don't have your knees lined up correctly. When you are angled off and your knees are lined up correctly, you can develop more power to push and pull your opponent as well. delariva with far sleeve control provides you with many options in terms of sweeping and attacking your opponent. When you have the delariva with far sleeve control, you have the ability to tip your opponent to the outside. Usually when I get this position, I'm also establishing some sort of leg control as well. When you have far sleeve control and you push their leg out and tilt them towards the far sleeve, you have the ability to sweep them in that direction, so then that way you can get on top of them.
The inside hook is to anchor yourself to your opponent's lead leg. It keeps it in place and restricts their ability to move forward or backwards, whether you have the foot outside, inside, etc. It disrupts their balance because this hook that's inside shifts their weight onto the trapped foot. It's going to destabilize their posture and make sweeps and transitions easier. If you're looking at it from ecological approach or constraints-led based approach, we're looking at the lead leg for the delariva hook to be immobilized. We want to immobilize our opponent's lead leg, however you want to grip it. Dominique Bell in his delariva DVD goes over some of the common limb placements as well.
I'm going to wrap my instep around his thigh, and then I'm going to be thinking about using my knee to turn his knee. So if you look, I kind of start making him face in this direction. And the idea is that I'm always granting myself access to the back of his body, and I also have access to the front of his body if I want to unbalance him forward or start to take his back. With my left hand, I'm going to have some kind of ankle control on his delariva leg so that I further limit his mobility, and it also helps me to turn his leg. So I have a couple of options there. We rotate. I can control the ankle, just controlling at the Achilles and pulling his ankle to assist my leg in turning his leg. Or my preferred grip is to put my thumb inside, to pull the pants out. I curl my fingers in, and then I start to pull the shin against my hamstring as hard as I can. Okay, so I have my delariva, I have my grip on the leg controlling his movement, and then I'm going to control his collar. Okay, so I put 4 fingers in the collar, and this grip is going to work to break his posture, but it's going to work in conjunction with my other leg on his shoulder to blade his shoulders away from me. So as I pull on the collar, I'm going to extend with my leg, and you can see his shoulders are starting to turn. And now I just bring my elbow behind my leg like this, okay? And the idea here is that I'm breaking his posture, but also I'm keeping his other arm out of play. So if we rotate, if Rodrigo wants to break this grip, he's going to need to work with that hand. And by me keeping my foot on the shoulder and following his bicep, it's going to make it very difficult for him to circle his hand in and start to deal with this grip and break his posture, or free his posture and start to break the guard a little bit more. Okay, so I have 4 fingers in, I'm pushing on the shoulder, and now I'm locking my elbow behind my knee. And this is just going to help so that if he does posture, he's not just pulling my arm up, but he's pulling the weight of my leg. See, so he's kind of attached to my hip here. Okay, so I've got my delariva hook in. My instep is wrapped around his thigh. If Rodrigo's facing me too much, like he's too square with me, it's going to be very difficult for me to get this grip inside. So I want to make sure I'm always bladed on his body. Okay, so I can work with my foot on the ground. I can start to make a better angle so that my delariva hook can be comfortable inside. And I also have an angle on his body where I have access to the back of his body and to the front. Okay, foot on the shoulder, locking my elbow back. Okay, if I can't reach this collar grip, like I'm trying to break his posture, but I can't reach it, he's standing really tall, I can work with my leg on his thigh to widen his base and drop his level, and then I can sit up off of my shoulders and start to secure the grip. So I widen, I sit up, and now it's a little bit more accessible, and as I fall down, I can put my foot on the shoulder again. Okay?
First thing you should think about is having a shallow delariva. Really, so the main thing I'm focusing on here is I don't want Joey's leg to come over the top of my knee line. Okay, if he comes over the top of my knee line, this is no good, right? So that means I want to keep my left foot, my delariva hook, on the near leg and not looking for the far leg. Okay, I shall go from the front on so they can see. A bit more. So I'm keeping a shallow delariva hook hooked on this near leg here, not looking for a deep delariva. Okay, so often we want to get around towards the back, and to look for the back, we extend our knee from our chest to go a deep delariva. This is a good move in the gi. It's a bit more risky no gi when your opponent can start to sit through and take that knee line. So I'm actively working at pulling my knee to my chest and getting a shallow hook here. Try and step over this knee line now. Very difficult for him to get past that. As he moves that way, I'm keeping my knee towards my chest. Okay, and there's just no gap to drop the hips in to take the saddle. In addition to that, I'm pushing up. Okay, so I'm not trying to extend away with my delariva hook. There's no real use of that anyway. I'm trying to get his hips to the mat, so my foot should be kicking backwards like this. My knee's coming actually towards my chest or my shoulder as I kick back, trying to get the hips down to the mat. So if I'm using a shallow hook and I'm kicking back, okay, I can start getting the hips down and still not expose my knee line.
If his foot is ever above my hip here, if it walks above my hip, he's gonna have pressure on me. And look how difficult it is for me to keep my delariva foot in. You see how hard it is? The higher his foot is up. So if you could just walk your foot up. Like, just walk up like your foot. Yeah, you see how my foot can go in? But if I'm back here, look how my foot stays in him in delariva, right? So that's very important as well. Whenever his foot is above my hip, it'll be very difficult for me to put my foot in. What does that mean? Also, if his foot's above my hip, he can start knee cutting me. He can start leg dragging me. All his attacks come when his foot is above my hip. So I always have to stay with my butt behind his foot like so. Either on top of the foot or just in this line where his feet are not above my hip here, okay? Now he won't be able to knee cut me. He won't be able to do any of his attacks going onto me because he has no weight on me, okay?
The opposite free leg is very, very important as well. This leg acts as a frame to manage the distance and prevent your opponent from closing in and crushing your guard. It creates space for you to set up attacks and reposition yourself without being overpowered. Where the hook controls, the free leg creates opportunity. Together, they maintain the delicate balance between defense and offense. Now, in terms of placement, the position of your free leg can be on the far hip, thigh, or bicep, depending on your objective.
So how am I gonna pull him if there's no way to grab the collar sleeve? I'm gonna hook his leg, okay? So I'm not gonna usually step on the knee. You can step on the knee and start like twisting like this, but I feel it's easier if I hook him, okay? Because when I have the collar, I feel like I'm pulling him and then I'm stepping and twisting. So that works pretty good. But for no gi, because I don't have the collar, I feel it's much easier if I hook behind his leg. I'm gonna pull him, and then as I'm pulling him, I twist his knee. So I pull him, I twist the knee, I make him pose. When I get to this position, I just step on his knee just to keep him there, okay? Because if you keep hooking, then the guy's gonna come back, okay? So I hook, I pull, I twist him, I step on the knee so he stays there. Now I'm gonna circle my leg in, hook, lift his leg, okay? I put this hand here, so let's turn more to it. I put this hand here to control his leg, underhook, okay? My hand's here so I can't grab his knee. So first I grab here, then I slide up, can get to X or normal X and control him. I always prefer to just step on his hip and sweep fast. I don't like to stay there controlling using the X guard too much. Okay, I prefer to just stand up fast. You have a good position, it's easy to sweep. Just get up fast. So let's just get up and get here again. Okay. delariva, normal delariva control, holding the leg, controlling the distance. Okay, you're gonna attack, so you're gonna hook the leg, you're gonna pull, you're gonna turn, you're gonna pull the ankle grip, twisting the knee. Okay, get to this position. Step on the knee, I circle my leg, use the hook, butterfly hook, lift, okay, control, underhook, adjust, step on the hip, push and sit up.
So another thing that you'll see people do in delariva is they'll play with their foot on the leg like so. For him to get over my leg, if my foot is on this part of his leg, he could step over really easy because he could bring his ASIS forward. What is his ASIS? The ASIS is the anterior superior iliac spine. That's the bone right here on his hip. If he could bring his hip bone forward, he'll be able to get over my leg. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go right on his hip bone, right here. So now if he tries to step over, try to move your leg over, it's very hard for him to get over if I go right on that bone on his hip. Opposed to if I'm here, look how easy it is for him to just move and bring that hip forward, you see? So that's very important that I'm always, when I'm playing delariva, putting my foot right on that hip bone. So now it's very difficult for him to take this off, you see? And then what's going to happen is when he goes to take it off, he's actually going to get swept. But I still want to just go over the overview first of my body placement, because that's the most important part of delariva. It's how I'm framing myself. What are frames? A frame is everything I can make on him to keep distance. If I make, the more frames I have on his body, the harder it's going to be for him to pass my guard. If I have no frames, what does that mean? He could go to mount. He could pass.
Now, the arm on the same side of the hook is extremely important because it's always off balancing our opponent. While our left inside hook is going to be pulling and pushing, our hands are going to be doing the polar opposite from time to time. We'll always be pulling when our legs are pushing, and we'll always be pushing when our legs are pulling.
You're always trying to create an angle for the back takes. You're trying to either go to the inside or to the outside, depending on where the toes are facing. So if Alanis's toes are facing out here a lot, I'm not going to really try to keep trying to get that outside angle and get my butt to the outside of the big toe, because she's just making it too difficult. But she's making it easy for me to go to the inside. So whenever these toes are facing too far out, we're actually going to switch our grip here on the ankle, okay? And we're going to go to a underhook grip like this, okay? Just when we switch this grip though, we want to make sure that we have a frame with our foot, okay? So I'm going to let go of this collar. I'm going to come to the back of the knee, okay? Grab it here and just switch to an underhook delariva. The reason I'm grabbing here is just because if somebody's aware that you're trying to do this, if you just try to go to here and switch the grip, sometimes they'll just kick free and basically free their leg here. So I'm going to, my right hand, let go of the collar, grab behind the knee, and then this hand's just going to come through this space we're gonna make an underhook, and I'm gonna grab my shin here like this. Okay, it's also very important, like I just said, that this foot stays in front of them. This leg needs to frame, so I can either frame across here with my shin. Ideally I have this, but I just can't be too open here. Okay, if I try to do this and I don't have a frame at all, she's just gonna come and basically collapse chest to chest on me. It's gonna be
Our free arm is just as important as our free leg. It is reinforcing our frames, reinforcing our pushing and pulling.
Here. And what's gonna happen is he's gonna try to remove my foot from the back leg, and I'm gonna pull his shoulder down. When I pull his shoulder down, I'm gonna bring my knee up. Look what's gonna happen. I pull the shoulder to me, I bring my knee up, look how his weight goes to his elbow. Look, the second his weight's on his elbow, all I'm going to do is pull forward, my knees to my chest, and look how his foot is going to his tippy toes. When his foot goes to his tippy toes in the back, that's when I know I can start sweeping him, and now I can punch. And he falls, you see? Because what happened? I was able to transfer all his weight to one side of his body, which is our rules of balance. If we can accomplish that, he will fall.
Let's review the common mistakes in delariva. Every single mistake in delariva can be related to some aspect of this or all of this altogether. Nicholas Marigali in his Deep delariva Guard DVD goes over some of the most common mistakes as well. Let's watch them now.
To apply my delariva is much easier to get a pressure because I can apply my delariva, my hook in this case and my foot, I can involve his knee, behind his knee, and I can bring him squeezing my knee this way. If you see, my knee is up to the sky. It's different than in the other option that my knee is wide, so it's easier to Fernando puts my knee down. So in this case, it's hard to Fernando smash my leg because my knee is almost touching my chest, so it's different. I have a lot of pressure over here. And we were working with this grip, collar sleeve, and always looking for some defense guard. So what I do right here, after I apply my delariva, I need to switch my collar grip to an ankle grip. If you see, I'm not holding the pants. And why I'm not holding the pants? Because when I hold the pants, Fernando has some not space, but one small chance to slide his foot. Just in this case, if I control the ankle, I can hold his leg better, and I get more pressure to apply my position. This is a situation where I'm stuck in my body to do a bridge and then cross my hook in between his legs. If I'm controlling his pants in this way, Fernando has a small chance to slide his foot, and I will lose my balance and pressure to apply my position. So always when we are switching the grip, we need to control the ankle.
delariva side. Okay, so this delariva control is dependent on my angle in relation to the angle of his body. The more towards my head it's pointing, the weaker my delariva is. The more parallel we are, the weaker my delariva is, because it's difficult for my leg to angle around the corner. Okay, but if he points his belly button laser beam to the right, now it becomes very easy for my delariva to come in, because the natural bend of the leg is going to make a nice, comfy little place for my hook to go. Okay, so if we're here and he pushes my delariva out, boom, and he kills that angle, so he starts to open his leg. Now look, it's very difficult for me to get my delariva inside. My recovery motion is moving around the corner of his leg. Okay, and the tool I'm going to use to do that is my foot going on the floor. Okay, so I drop my delariva or my non-delariva leg, I put it on the floor, and I start to scoop myself around the corner. And if I want a little bit more mobility, I can come up to my elbow here. See, and I start to regain that delariva hook. Okay, so that fight would look something like this. Yeah. I'm always turning that corner. I'm always looking to win this angle, okay, so that my delariva is always in. I don't really want to accept this angle being beaten with all my other controls, because I'm just giving him a better opportunity to pass. I don't have the ability to attack the backside of him. So it's going to force him to like, kind of like overextend himself because he knows I can never take his back from this angle. Okay, so you want to always maintain that angle. See, I'm coming up to my elbow. Rodrigo circles his hand inside. C grips my leg. And what he's thinking about doing is usually either putting it to his hip, like this, or putting it underneath his legs, like this. Both of those are good options because now I lose the ability to keep his arm out of play. Okay, so the very first recovery motion we're going to do is as soon as he circles his hand and he takes my foot off, I have my leg extended away from my body. I'm going to pull my knee as far to my chest as I can, like this. And then I'm going to pass my toes to the other side of his forearm, like this. And now I just re-extend to his shoulder, not to his bicep. So I'm going straight to his shoulder, and I'm pressing again, okay? So he circles, he C-grips me. I don't want to try to circle from out here because my leg is elongated, and I'm using like it's a very inefficient, like weak position to try to move my leg in from here. I pull my knee to my chest, and now it's going to be harder. He's extended, and my leg is retracted, and it's going to be easy for me to just get my toes to the other side. And now when I extend my leg, I don't try to aim for the bicep because the bicep moves so much. Like I might miss this, and he might like just keep my leg off. I want to go for the shoulder, which is more of like a stationary target, and then I'll allow it to slide down his bicep depending on how long my leg is and how short my opponent's arms are. So I circle, I press, and now I regain control, okay? That's the first retention movement. So you should be doing this nonstop, okay? If there's ever a moment where you're kind of working, your partner's trying to get their arm free, you're doing a really good job, and then you decide, okay, that's enough, and you just kind of chill, you have to accept in your head that you're allowing him to break the position down, okay? So it's a nonstop juggling of control.
A common reaction from our opponent would be to stuff our free leg. When they do that, we can invert into a knee bar. If you do De La Riva long enough, you're going to have opponents who will backstep and try to threaten the leg lock with the saddle entry. And here's what Lachlan Giles recommends to do.
You stop your opponent doing the backstep. So basically, Joey's going to backstep, and he's going to land in the saddle here, okay? And this can happen when I start to play De La Riva, and this is obviously not a good outcome if this occurs, okay? So let's just go back, and if you want to do that again, Joey. So I've got De La Riva hook. He steps back. Usually, just go back. He's usually going to hold my knee just so he kind of traps the knee, and if you look, my knee line gets caught by the legs, and he can then start to triangle his legs, lock up the saddle. I'm defending a leg lock. I'm no longer in an offensive position. The other important factor here is my top leg's actually going to like block his upper body, attaching and pulling my leg in. Okay, I'm just going to show this. If Joey tries to backstep when I'm standing, and he tries to commit to like a reverse half guard or the saddle. It could be, people will mix these two together. So he sort of backsteps, tries to go like reverse half, and if I put my leg in the wrong way, he goes for the saddle as well. This is quite common. Okay. So from here, I'm just going to turn this way a bit. If I can frame under the armpit here, I keep my knee pointing down, okay? So even if he tries to pull that through, it's actually kind of difficult to capture my knee line. See, my knee's pointing down, okay? If my knee points up, very easy to capture, okay? So I'm just turning my hips a little bit. I want to get my right leg to block his chest and keep it away from my leg. If I can keep his chest away, he can't really attach to my bottom leg well, okay? So you watch this, I framed the armpit, I bring my leg in here, okay? Try and hold my leg, hold it as tight as you want, okay? By extending with my right leg, I start to free my knee. So he's got my knee, okay, pushing and pulling, freeing my knee, and I can continue towards the back. So again, if Joey backsteps, even if he does start to capture my knee, I point the knee downwards, get my top leg in front, can be shin or even my knee, and I use that to peel his upper body away. I'm pressuring forward as I take my knee to the ground, okay? This is gonna give me room to spin under and bear him. He steps over, shin strong,
But now I can keep this collar grip, or I can switch to this belt grip. It makes no real difference. And now I switch, I replace my knee because I'm coming underneath him. Okay, and from there I can just start to underhook his leg. You know, I can sweep him down, come into the leg drag position, or I can look to take it back. So we're here. Ian steps back, but my knee's strong and up. Switch to this belt grip, switch inside. I'm just going underneath now. Here I can extend out, switch, start to come up with it.
Here are some compilations of professional athletes that have been using the delariva guard at the highest levels. Having a successful delariva guard requires the following 4 principles here. You're always going to off balance, you're always going to switch your grips, you're always going to transition, and you're always going to maintain the stickiness on the opponent's lead foot. And to emphasize, for those who don't know, when it comes to delariva or playing guard, you always want to have as much point of contact as possible on your opponent. Okay, so we can see here that Levi already has 3 points of contact. His left leg is around Cade's foot, right hand right by the kneecap, left hand is right by the ankle. And we can see what Levi's is going to use his right foot here later. But when we are in delariva, we always want to be angled to see the backside of our opponent, right? So we want to always be able to see the back, because this way we can start to slide and start to use the momentum to take our opponent either bolo, take the back, or invert.
Go straight to my delariva, but during the transition I could end up here, could possibly end up in this position. First thing that I want to do is that I want to collect my partner's wrist control. Okay, by maintaining the wrist, what I'm going to start doing is that I'm going to start creating the reaction of him pushing up to break that grip. And that's what I want. Every time you guys are hitting tripod sweeps, you want your partner's posture to be, the hips leaning forward and his chest to be up. So that way when I begin to trap the feet and I push on the hips, it's easy for me to sweep him back. When his posture is forward, it's hard for me to tripod sweep him because his weight is leaning towards me, right, towards my legs. So when I begin to push him, he's just going to lean and put more weight forward. Or when I begin to push, he's going to throw my legs to the side. So that's why right now I look to control the wrist. Because I want him to feel, threat with this arm, with the cross sleeve, and I do want him to posture up and break this. Okay, it's not a grip that I'm going to maintain the whole time, but it's a grip that I'm going to use to create the reaction that I need for the sweep.
So again, tight hook here, kicking upwards. We're going to go for the collar, foot on the bicep here, okay? So the first one we're going to do is we're just going to push the foot towards the center and create that angle for us, okay? So we do this one when they are pressuring in towards this leg a lot, okay? So anytime Alanis is putting pressure in this direction, that's when we're going to go for this technique here. Okay, so Alanis is coming here with her pressure in towards the hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load Alanis up by pulling her, okay, in towards me. And then I'm just going to give her a bump. So I'm going to take her force from coming this way. I'm going to absorb it in towards me and then push her just here. I just want to get the weight off Alanis's right leg a tiny bit, okay? So she's pushing in towards me. I'm going to pull her in towards me, take that weight in, and then I'm going to bump at a 45-degree angle over here. Okay, so just bump, okay? It can be pretty subtle. Notice how I bring my hips towards my right, and this hook is still tight, okay? So just a little tiny bump in this direction.
You're going to find that in a no-gi scenario for delariva, a lot of the times we actually do want our free foot on the inside of our opponent's knee. This allows us to off-balance them easier, as you saw in the earlier clips of Rafa Mendes. We have clips of Gordon Ryan and the New Wave team doing that. Another way they can play delariva is to reinforce the hooking leg with the right free leg.
I'm going to take my right foot and I hook behind the hamstring, okay? Now, the reason that we're doing this, okay, is that if my foot's on the outside, there are a lot of things I can do here, but I don't have as strong of an ability to off-balance him in various directions. What I do have is a much better ability to basically keep a good defensive guard, right? So for him to flank me to the outside, he can't because I've got a frame there, right? And it's easier for me to prevent him when he comes towards me. I can frame with my shin here. So it's more defensively sound, but I have less of an ability to sort of off balance him in various directions. Where if this foot's inside, I can off balance him pretty much every possible direction.
By now, you know the delariva guard is all about control and disruption. Your hook locks their leg, your free leg manages distance, your grips steer their posture, and your hips create angles for sweeps, submissions, and transitions. You know it's a dynamic system that works both in gi and no gi. You know it teaches you how to control their balance, attack creatively, and how to dominate the match. Mastering the delariva guard isn't just about the guard itself. It's about learning how to play jujitsu. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It means the world to me, and talk to you soon.